Christmas is probably the biggest meal of the year, and sometimes it can get a little hectic, but I have written a menu that I promise you can pull off, and your friends and family will think you're the next Curtis Stone. 7 dishes, Aussie style, by the barbecue, absolutely delicious. Let's get stuck in. Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. It's the platform that makes creating professional websites incredibly easy for anyone, but more on that later. It wouldn't be an Aussie barbie if we didn't throw some shrimp on the barbie. And fun fact, we don't even call these shrimp, we call them prawns. Anyway, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna start with some prawns with a little mango coconut salsa. Then we're gonna do some bug tails. We've got some kangaroo skewers. We've got a reverse sear rump cap, some lovely salads to go along with that, and then finally a lemon posset. I know that feels like a lot, but trust me, prior preparation prevents a piss poor performance, and I'm gonna show you how to get there really easily. It all starts the day before. So first up, we need to peel and devein these tiger prawns. So rip the head off, peel the bottom part, and we're gonna peel the whole way down. We're not gonna leave any shell on at all. Then we're gonna pull the vein out. So like I was saying at the start, this starts the day before. You could do this the day or even 2 days before. And I think it's really important that we get as much work done before the big day that we can. You give yourself some time to do it, don't rush it. The more we get done the day before, the better you're gonna be on the day. Because there is nothing more fun for me than hanging out by the barbie and cooking all the delicious food while your friends and family are there. It also gives you something to do. So I like to use these metal flat skewers because they don't burn on the barbecue, and with them being flat means the food won't roll around. It'll stay the same orientation. So bend your prawn in half with the tail side facing down. Don't go too close to the end, right through the center of that tail and then through near the top of the head. 3 per skewer is more than enough. There you go, first job off the list done. Literally leave them on a tray like this in the fridge covered until we're ready to cook them tomorrow. So for the mango salsa, first thing we need to do is toast the coconut, dry pan over a medium heat, and we'll toast that till it's nice and golden. Now coconut holds heat quickly and it can over toast if it doesn't cool down quickly, so I just toss it for a couple of seconds just to get some heat out of it. Next up, 1 shallot, 1 large shallot, you could use 2 small, finely diced. 1 green chili, also finely diced. Remove the seeds, not because we don't want it spicy, but because it's quite bitter. Okay, mango, I like these little Thai style mangoes. We're gonna peel it with a peeler because it's hard, it's not like a soft mango. And you guessed it, finely diced and into the bowl. And I really encourage you to cut this by hand. Don't be tempted to grab a food processor and shove it all in there, because having everything the same size is kind of what was going to make this salsa go from good to great. Now I know it's tricky, I know not everyone has the knife skills of someone who's been a professional chef for over 20 years, but it's worth taking the time, and it's the only way you're going to learn. Just going to add the zest and juice of 2 limes, pinch of sea salt, and give it a mix. There you go, into an airtight container overnight, ready to go for tomorrow. So next thing we need to prep for tomorrow is the lime leaf butter, which is going to go with our grilled Moreton Bay bugs and lime leaf butter. They're sometimes called slipper lobsters, and if you can't find those, then any shellfish will kind of work anyway. Super simple. Add your butter to a food processor. Make sure it's kind of room temp or nearabouts. And then lime leaf, we're going to take the stem out, get 2 or 3 together, roll them up nice and tight, and finely slice them. The reason we don't just shove these straight in the blender is because they're quite fibrous, so the blender's going to take ages to break them down to the size that we want. We want these really as fine as possible. Once you've gone through it once, go through it again. Any big bits, just pull them out. Now this is unsalted butter. If you're using salted butter, probably don't need to add salt. If you're not using salted butter, pinch of salt. White pepper. The reason we use white pepper is because I don't want little specks of black pepper through it. I think it's got a better flavor profile, especially with seafood. If you don't have a mixer, you can just do this by hand. It's just gonna mean you need to use your guns. Make sure it's got enough salt into a container and covered in the fridge overnight, ready for tomorrow. So next up, we're gonna do a dish inspired by my mate Ben Sherry. We're gonna do a kangaroo skewer with a black garlic and pepperberry tare. Super easy to pull together, unless you don't live in Australia and you can't get kangaroo, understandably. Venison, great alternative, and if you can't find venison, a lamb loin as well. The best thing about this is everything's done the day before. We're just grilling the skewers on the day. So first up, we need to make the black garlic tare. The tare is like a Japanese yakitori sauce almost, so really simple to make. Soy sauce, sake, mirin, chicken stock, a little bit of brown sugar, pepperberry, another native Australian ingredient. If you can't get it, just use black peppercorns or pink peppercorns instead. We're gonna do like 10 of those in there. And then black garlic. So what is black garlic? It's garlic that's been cooked for ages at a really low temperature. So if you can't get it or you can't find it, just use normal garlic, half the amount. To prep it, we're just gonna kind of smush it a bit, and then we're gonna cook it into that sauce. Quite sticky, it adds a really lovely richness. Ooh. get back. So we're gonna place that onto a medium heat and reduce it by 1/3. Keep mixing it and keep pushing that black garlic into the sauce because we don't want it to burn. But while that's doing that, let's start prepping this kangaroo. So with this kangaroo meat, because it's lean, while we need to cut it nice and thin, we want to cook it really fast and we keep our fibers nice and short. And the same thing with the venison. If you're using like venison backstrap or anything like that, the same kind of theory. And if you can't find kangaroo, then make sure you eat your own country's national animal. So to skewer this, take your piece of kangaroo and you're going to fold it over 2 times like a zigzag, and then pull it down on your flat skewer. Make sure you don't give all the good pieces on the first skewer or you'll end up with one really scraggly one. So use some of the smaller pieces where you just fold over once, some of the bigger pieces to end it or to bookend it, if that makes sense. So this is a great example of why we use square or flat skewers as opposed to round ones. You're gonna grill this meat and then you turn it over, it stays on. If it's a round, it just rolls around. Tare done, kangaroo skewered. I'm gonna cover both of them into the fridge, ready to go for tomorrow. All right, and just like that, we're already on to prepping the main course. So we are gonna do a roast rump cap or picanha. Why have I chosen the rump cap? I hear you asking. Well, I think it roasts really well in a barbecue, unlike a cube roll or a sirloin or anything like that, and it's actually super easy to do. I've just pulled this out of the packet, so all we need to do, make sure we haven't got any silver skin under here, and if we do, just whip it off. And then this side here, we'll just get rid of this kind of weird looking fat, straighten it up. Then we're gonna have a look at the side. The fat cap's pretty thick in this area, so I am going to take a little bit of this off, and that's pretty much it. We're going to season it with kombu seasoning, which is my recipe that I got from the boys of Fellow in London from the burger video, and it's delicious. I think it works really, really well with beef. So we're going to season this super well now. We're basically kind of dry brining this. I don't even think you need a binder. Just put it on and press it in. All sides, kind of going against my own theories normally. Usually I kind of don't use seasoning or rubs with steak and beef, but I think this is an exception. So there you go. That's good to go. Ready for the barbecue tomorrow. Leave it in your fridge uncovered if you can. Now I understand fridge space is a premium at this time of the year, so if it is in a fridge that's getting opened a lot, maybe do give it a cover. So for our potatoes, controversially, we're gonna do like a crispy potato salad. So we need to boil the kifla potatoes in salted water before we cool them down in the fridge overnight, ready to be crisped up tomorrow. There you go. While those are boiling, we're gonna start making our sauce for our beef tomorrow. But before that, let me quickly tell you about Squarespace. Its design intelligence feature uses AI to build personalized websites that match your style perfectly. It's as simple as answering some questions and you're gonna get a website tailored to your needs. There's also some great visual design tools that are built in and ready to go, making it easier for you to develop a site that's engaging and aligns with your vision. Creators also benefit from integrated social media tools that automatically share across platforms, saving time while building audience across channels. If you want to create your own site, then head over to squarespace.com/AndyCooks for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use code AndyCooks to save 10% off your first purchase. Now let's get back to that cooking. So for our sauce to go with our main course, we're making a sauce Verte, which is a French version of like a salsa verde, the Italian salsa verde, or sauce vierge. Green sauce, lots of herbs, with the addition of obviously mustard, same in salsa verde, and creme fraiche to make it lovely, light and creamy. So we're not gonna blend it today because we wanna keep it lovely and vibrant and it's not a huge job. But what I do suggest you do the day before is have all your herbs picked. We've got some lovely basil, some parsley, some mint and some tarragon prepped, ready to go. I'm gonna cover this, leave this in the fridge overnight tonight, and then tomorrow we're just gonna blend it together. Jobs are good. So Yuzu mayo for our crispy potatoes, real simple. We're gonna do the immersion blender method. I got some peanut oil, a couple of egg yolks, pinch of salt, some Dijon mustard, and about 50 mils of Yuzu juice. We want it pretty acidic. Also a bit of white pepper, and I got a little bit of water on standby if in case it gets too thick. Blend it to the bottom, turn it on, and slowly bring it up. Done. Didn't even need the water. I think with all that Yuzu juice was the perfect thickness. In the fridge, covered, ready for tomorrow. All right, the last thing we need to do for the savory courses today, and today's the hardest day. We've already got this far. We just need to cut some spring onions for the crispy potato salad with the Yuzu mayo that we just made. And real simple, I've got 4 nice spring onions here. At a bias or at an angle, we're gonna slice them all the way through. Greens all the way through, whites all the way through to greens. Now, this is one of those jobs that you might read and go, I'll just do it tomorrow. Trust me, get as much done today as you can. These are not gonna deteriorate that much overnight, and it's one less thing you have to worry about tomorrow. The only thing I will say is we're gonna mix this now. So mix it so that the white and green parts are all even. Doesn't have to be perfect, but also gives you an opportunity to find all the big bits that you missed. There you go, covered into the fridge, ready to go for our salad tomorrow. Now it's time for arguably the most important part of the meal, the dessert. So for dessert, we are gonna make a lemon posset with a raspberry granita and some grilled pineapple. Delicious dessert. and basically gonna make all the components apart from grilling our pineapple today, so we're not worried about it at all. So for the posset, some good double cream into a pot, along with the sugar and the zest of 2 lemons. When you're zesting any citrus, make sure you don't go too deep. You just want to take that top layer of yellow off. If you go any further, it becomes really bitter. I'm also a big fan of zesting into things and not doing this. You see a lot of people kind of zesting up. I think you should zest down because you get the essence, the oil essence, which will just spray naturally. You know, like when you're at a fancy bar and they do the whoosh thing, that's what you get. So we're gonna place that onto a medium-high heat, bring it to a boil, turn it right down to a low heat and simmer it for 2 minutes. Then we're gonna remove it off the stove and let it cool for 10 minutes. While you bring it up to a boil, give it a stir to make sure that the sugar is evenly distributed. But while that's happening, let's get started on the Granita. Got a small saucepan here, add the water and the sugar. So we're gonna take the water and the sugar over a medium-high heat. We're gonna let the sugar dissolve and then reduce it by about half till it starts getting a little bit sticky. While that sugar syrup's doing its thing, food processor, frozen raspberries that have been defrosted for about 2 hours. You could use fresh as well if they're cheap and on sale. Cheap and on sale raspberries in this economy. To the raspberries, you're gonna add the juice of half a lemon. Once we've reached this consistency, I'm gonna pass it through a sieve to make sure we don't have any seeds in there. So our syrup's at the right consistency. We're gonna turn the heat off, let that cool for a second. Our cream has cooled for 10 minutes. We're gonna add the juice of 2 lemons. We're just gonna mix our citrus into our cream nicely. Then we're gonna pour it into our vessels that we're gonna serve them in. Now I got these, stolen them from Caitlin. I don't know what they are. I guess they're kind of like champagne flutes. Well, they're not really a flute, are they? Anyway, they work well for this. You could use any glass you want, really. I think you want something a bit wider rather than narrower, but like a whiskey glass would work, or even just like a normal ramekin. Distribute that evenly across your containers. So we're gonna let those cool at room temp for at least another 20 minutes. And then I would individually wrap these in cling film. If you put these in the fridge uncovered, they will start to taste like fridge, if that makes sense. We'll just leave those behind and hopefully I don't drop them. So back to our raspberry Granita. We've got our raspberry puree here, and we've got our sugar syrup, which is slightly cooled. We're gonna combine those and stir it in. Once that's all nicely distributed, I'm gonna put it into a large, kind of flat-ish dish. The reason for that is that we're trying to get lots of surface area here. Now we're gonna place this whole thing in the freezer. After 2 hours, we're gonna pull it out, use a fork to scrape the top layer of ice across the top. We're gonna put it back in the freezer, and we're gonna repeat this step every 30 minutes until all those layers are nice and scraped off and it looks like lovely like snow crystals. So there you go. That's day 1 done. I'll scrape that a couple more times tonight and then again in the morning. But that's the hard part done. And tomorrow morning, it's Christmas. The big man's coming down the chimney. See you then. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. I think that's the best Christmas movie of all time, but that's just my opinion. This here is the Aussie Barbie. I think in the US you call it grilling. It's a gas barbecue, and I do agree that a steak cooked over charcoal definitely tastes better. However, 90% of Australian households have one of these. That's a number I've just made up. So quick recap on yesterday. All our mise en place is ready. Our beef's ready, our seafood's ready, our kangaroo's ready, and all our veggies are ready. We've got a few things to do to tidy up today, but not that much. It should be all under control. Let's get stuck in. So as soon as possible, we need to get our beef cooking. So I've got my barbecue set to about 100 degrees. How do you do that? I've only got one of my burners on, very low. Now I'm gonna put my beef fat cap side down with the thickest part towards the heat source, and we're gonna reverse sear it. Why are we reverse searing it? Well, it's gonna be the most forgiving. We're gonna cook this, it's gonna take about 2 hours. I suggest you use a probe and find out actually what the internal temperature is. We're gonna take it to 48 degrees Celsius, and then we're gonna put it in an esky, or a chili bin as we call it in New Zealand, and we're gonna rest it for at least 2 hours before we seal it. But truth be told, you could rest that for 4-5 hours if you wanted to in that chili bin. So while our beef is on the grill, coming up to temperature, it's time to get everything else ready so we're good to go. Once that comes off and is resting, we're good to start cooking more things. We're gonna get our potatoes sliced, ready to go. We're gonna get our pineapple cut, ready to go. And we're even gonna cut up our tomatoes. We're not gonna dress them yet, but we'll get them ready to be dressed for the main course. So let's just quickly talk about timing. So I like to eat my lunch at 2 o'clock on Christmas Day. Main course at 2 o'clock. So if we work backwards from there, we want to put the beef on at the latest 10 a.m. From 10 a.m. till 12, we're going to cook our beef. In that time, we're going to do all this other little bits of prep that we're doing right now. From 12 until 2, our beef is going to rest. In that time, we can turn the barbecue up and we can grill our entrees. We can eat our entrees at 1, and then we give ourselves an hour to digest our entrees and then move into our main course. So once our main course is out at 2 o'clock, you can have dessert whenever you want, really. It's all ready to go, so there's no much stress. We're gonna cut our pineapple now, and we're gonna keep the core in and everything. We're gonna cut it, grill it really hard like that, and then we'll cut it up afterwards, and you'll see why in a bit. All right, that's it. Everything's pretty much done. We're just gonna film it. Can you be quiet, please? We're trying to film a YouTube video here. All right, the last thing we have to do is just blitz up our sauce, herbs, Dijon mustard, creme fraiche, and a little bit of olive oil in a blender, big pinch of salt, blitz that, and then leave it in the fridge until we're ready to serve. We've got about 40 minutes until the beef comes off, but that's the hard stuff done. At this point, you should be able to start relaxing and enjoying your Christmas with your friends and family. All right, our rump cap is at an internal temperature of 48 degrees Celsius. We're gonna pull it off now, place it on a tray with a rack over the top, put a piece of parchment paper, and we're gonna cover it in foil, and we're gonna place it into an esky, otherwise known as a cooler. That's gonna rest there for ideally around 2 hours, but like I said earlier, you can take this kind of 3-4 hours, not a problem at all. So it's 1:45, we're almost ready to serve the entrees. We've got the prawns, the bugs, and the kangaroo. The bugs are going to take the longest to cook, followed by the kangaroo, and the prawns will probably take about the same amount of time. So first things first, let's get these bugs cracked in half. We do this on the day instead of the day before because we want to keep it nice and fresh. Use one of your knives that you're not super worried about. Really carefully, center of the spine, straight through, down, and again the other side. Oh. So we're going to drizzle everything with olive oil and season with salt. We do have the lime leaf butter for the bugs. If you put that on now, it'll just kind of disappear anyway. So the grill's nice and hot. We're gonna do our prawns on a flat plate. We're gonna do our bugs and our kangaroo straight over the grill. So flesh side down. We're just gonna give those about 2 minutes with the lid down before we flip them over. And then we can start adding the prawns and the kangaroo. Oh, look at that. We're already seeing some color change, which is exactly what we wanna see. I'll flip those over. So now we're gonna add a little bit of our butter to the top of these, but not all of it. We're gonna put most of it on once they come off for that to melt in and be all luxurious. So be careful that butter doesn't flare up, just like that. So now that flare up's simmered down a bit, we can put them back to the back, and it's time to get the prawns on. So prawns, really hot flat plate. These won't flare up because obviously there's no direct flame underneath them. So prawns are on. We're gonna put the kangaroo on next. We really wanna cook this kangaroo at a rare, medium rare max. Any kind of more and it's gonna be pretty tough. And the same if you're doing venison. So prawns are flipped. Our bugs will be cooked. So we're gonna remove these, put them on a tray. And now it's time for our roux. So we're gonna flip this. Once we've flipped it, we're gonna start brushing on our tare. All right, prawns are ready to come off. They can go on the same tray as the bugs. And now the kangaroo can come off as well. When we take this off, we're gonna flip it because we haven't got tare on the underside yet. So we'll do that once it's off. So kangaroo needs to rest, not for a crazy amount of time, but for a little bit. So let's plate the bugs up first. So you want them in a plate that's got a side to it, and that way they'll stay standing. So you wanna get heaps more butter in there. Once you've got it across, just run it all the way down that flesh. So there you go, Moreton Bay bugs with lime leaf butter, simple and delicious. Let's put that to the side, and we'll get the prawns plated up next. So place your prawns on the plate, cover it generously with salsa, and then we're gonna give it a big squeeze of fresh lime juice as well. So there you go, grilled prawns with a coconut and mango salsa, lots of fresh lime, summer on a plate. And finally, our grilled kangaroo skewers with black garlic and pepperberry tare. There you go, that's all the entrees done. I'm gonna go and eat this with my mates, and then we'll come back and we'll get ready to start doing main course. Time to do the mains. I've given myself 35 minutes to get this on the table. I reckon you can comfortably do it in 45, even if you were just taking it easy, just taking it slow. First things first, we need to get these potatoes nice and crispy. So on the barbecue, I've got a flat plate that we're going to use. We're going to put quite a bit of olive oil on that, season these with salt, and then put them flesh side down into the oil until they get lovely and crispy. Then we're going to remove them onto another tray with a wire rack for them to cool slightly before we dress them later. So while our potatoes are going, we can grill our pineapple. Probably take about 5 or 6 minutes each side. Really good dark char, and we'll leave it to cool. And we'll cut it up once we're ready to serve dessert. Tomato salad, super simple. We got all our tomatoes that we cut up earlier. Good quality extra virgin olive oil, big pinch of salt, fresh ground black pepper. We're gonna tear some basil leaves through it now, just to get the oil through it. Bruise it and rip it apart. It'll help permeate easier. Sherry vinegar. Now we place it onto the plate. And then lots more basil just torn over the top. So 15 minutes, my mates are gonna expect their lunch on the table. The tomato salad's done, our potatoes are crispy and just cooling down a little bit, our pineapple is grilled, and our beef is rested. So it's time to seal off the beef. Now, I've got my grill up really hot. I prefer to do it on the flat part of the grill instead of the actual grill. Reason being is that beef fat is gonna render out really quickly, and you're gonna have a pretty massive flare up if you do it over your grill. If you don't have a flat top, you can still do this on the grill. You're just gonna need to move it around a bit. While our beef's grilling, we're gonna mix our potato salad, so the crispy potatoes in a bowl, spring onions with the Yuzu mayo, give it a lovely big toss, and then onto a plate. All right, time to carve this beef. And because it's already rested for like 2 hours, once it's off the grill, we don't really need to rest it. So to carve the beef, as normal, against the grain, thin slices I prefer on plates like this. And if you don't think you're gonna eat it all, then don't carve it all. It's gonna save better in the fridge as a whole piece rather than in slices. All right, that's main sorted. Can't wait to dig in. And then last thing, I'll show you how to plate these desserts. All right, finally our lemon posset. So they've set up nicely overnight. We just need to dice this pineapple. Probably 1 piece per posset. Remove the core, nice small dice. And then one final scrape of our Granita. There you go, lemon posset, charred pineapple, and raspberry Granita. That's my Aussie BBQ Christmas lunch, and honestly, it's not that hard. You just have to make sure you get ready and start the day before. Thank you so much for the year. It's been incredible. We'll be back next week with some of the easiest recipes known to man, but for now, Merry Christmas.